Thank you. Can you hear me? Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the City of Eureka Design Review Committee June 26, 2024 to order. We'll start with roll call.
Committee Member Perez,
Here.
Committee Member Browning,
Here?
Committee Member Ellsworth,
Here.
Committee Member Cameron,
Here.
and Committee Member Banducci is absent today.
Thank you for that. So next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from our last meeting? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion, thank you, I was going to say movement, that's the wrong word, to approve the minutes, so we need to go to a vote.
Committee Member Perez,
Aye.
Committee Member Ellsworth,
Yes.
Committee Member Cameron,
Aye.
and Committee Member Browning.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Okay, item C, public hearings continued. We have none? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, public hearings, new. D, the Pierson Creative Sign Permit on 3116 Harrison Avenue, APN 013191027. Who's going to speak to that?
Yeah, Senior Planner Savage is going to make the presentation, and I'll get it pulled up right now.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I'll be recusing myself from this item due to.
Thank you for that.
What's that?
And put your earplugs on.
I think Derek is going to do it.
Yes. He usually beats me to it all the time. All ready? Again, I'm Senior Planner Savage, and this morning we are here to discuss a creative sign permit for the Pierson Company. There we go. Here's a bird's eye view showing 3116 Harrison Avenue, which is located in southeast Eureka. And the flickering. Okay. And the dotted black line shows that shows the city limits, and you can see that. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn. That's like flickering. Sorry. Is it flickering on there too? No. Okay. I'll just ignore it. The dotted black line designates the city limits, and as you can see, the property sits right on the city limits and is across the street from Schaefer's Ace Hardware. Zooming in closer, the property is located at the intersection of Harris Street and Harrison Avenue. The subject property has two separate APNs, but is considered one legal parcel. The eastern half of the property, denoted with the red sign, is improved with an approximately 3,000 square foot office building, parking lot, and landscaping, while the western half is undeveloped. The applicant All Point Signs is proposing to remove and replace two pole signs with two monument signs shown by the yellow circles, in generally the same location as the pole signs, and one wall sign denoted by the blue star, located on the front of the building facing the parking lot at Harris Street. One monument sign is proposed fronting Harrison Avenue that reads Pico, Pierson Company, 3116 Harrison Avenue. And one reader board monument sign is proposed fronting Harris Street that has changeable letters to create different messages related to the business on site. The wall sign reads Pico, Pierson Company. The project site is located in the neighborhood commercial zoning district where only one freestanding or monument sign is allowed per site. With a maximum height of 8 feet and a maximum sign area of 1 square foot for every foot of tenant building frontage, to a maximum of 32 square feet per tenant or up to 64 square feet for multi-tenant signs. Although the site has approximately 75 feet of tenant frontage between the two streets, since the site only has one tenant, the maximum monument sign area is capped at 32 square feet. Each of the two proposed monument signs individually meet applicable standards, but together they deviate from the total number of monument signs allowed per site, which is 1, and the maximum monument sign area of 32 square feet, as the two signs together have a total of 49 square feet. Since the monument signs deviate from the sign standards, a creative sign permit is required for at least one of the two monument signs, and the sign must meet all criteria. The wall sign meets all the sign standards and does not need a creative sign permit. The body of the Harrison Avenue monument sign will be black aluminum sheeting with the area above the base and along the top trimmed in redwood. Pico will be routed green acrylic lettering, and the address will be routed white acrylic lettering. The Pierson Company lettering will be hairline brushed gold in stainless steel, which does not show up good in the rendering, but will look like this. The sign will be illuminated with recessed LED lighting. The sign must conform with all 4 of the general design criteria to qualify as a creative sign. The Harrison Avenue monument sign constitutes a substantial aesthetic improvement to the site and has a positive visual impact on the surrounding area. The green star denotes that it meets the criteria. Number 2, the sign is not of unique design and does not exhibit a high degree of thoughtfulness and imagination, inventiveness, and spirit, and does not meet the criteria. The sign is not of higher creative, artistic, and or sculptural nature than the average sign typically found in Eureka, and does not meet criteria 3. However, the sign provides strong graphic character through the imaginative use of graphics, color, texture, quality material, scale, and proportion, and does meet the criteria for number 4. The sign must incorporate at least 3 of the 12 features, materials, and contextual criteria. So bear with me, I'm going to go through all 12 for the first sign so that you have an idea of what they all are. Criteria 1, materials of higher quality than typically used for signs in Eureka. For example, stone, sculptural steel, sandblasted wood, gold leaf, hand-painted content with artistic mural-like components. Quality materials are found throughout the monument sign. The sign body is faced with black aluminum sheeting and trimmed in redwood, and includes acrylic and hairline brushed gold stainless steel routed lettering, and therefore complies with number 1. Number 2, projecting recessed or cut out text, for example, push through illuminated acrylic letters, routed metal. The Harrison Avenue monument sign has routed acrylic and stainless steel lettering and therefore meets criteria 2. Creative and unique use of clearly visible, high-quality landscaping with an area greater than the minimum required for the sign, whichever is more. Doesn't meet that criteria. Creative and unique use of lighting. For example, chase, neon lighting, LED faux neon, a well-coordinated combination of at least 3 different types of site-approved illumination. Criteria 5, clearly visible 3-dimensionality where a notable proportion of the structure or form of the sign includes multiple deviations from the parallel plane. A sphere, a half sphere, sculptural elements, a fully 3-dimensional beer mug, for example. Criteria 6, sign design successfully emulates architecture of the building. For example, a sign with a roof-like covering that matches the general design of the roof of the building it serves. The monument sign could potentially meet criteria 4, and we've counted it as meeting the criteria, as the colors, materials, and fonts proposed complement the building's architecture, although they might not copy or imitate the architecture in a way that is noticeable to the general public. So we would like that one, maybe bumped up a little bit in, matching the building. Criteria 7, highly irregular, multi-dimensional sign shape. For example, a sign that has at least 5 or more straight sides, a sign that has a few straight sides and multiple variable rounded signs, a sign with an unusually disproportionate height-width ratio. Criteria 8, at least 50% of the sign area includes custom artistic illustrations. 9, sign shape includes inventive representation of the use, name, or logo of the structure or business. For example, like a fish-shaped sign for a fishing store, or like Pierson's Big Hammer. Criteria 10, neon and/or LED faux neon signs that emulate movement but do not include chase lighting. 11, mechanically animated elements. And 12, symbols or imagery relating to timber, commercial fishing, coastal land uses, arts, culture, or other factors inherent to Eureka's identity or to Eureka's current or historic character. So on to the Harris Street Reader Board monument sign. The body of the Harris Street monument sign will be black aluminum, metal sheeting with the area above the base and along the top trimmed in redwood, and white acrylic reader board will be internally illuminated. Of the 4 general design criteria, the reader board monument sign only conforms with number 1. Of the 12 sign features, materials, and contextual criteria, the Harris reader board sign only conforms with number 1 and number 6. So 2 of the 12. It would need 1 more. Only 1 monument sign less than 32 square feet in area is allowed per site. Therefore, only 1 of the 2 proposed monument signs is required to meet the approval criteria for a creative sign permit. Consider the other one or this one is like the bonus sign, and the other one has to meet the requirements. The Harrison Avenue monument sign comes closest to meeting the approval criteria, meeting 2 of the 4 general design criteria, and meeting the minimum of 3 of the 12 sign features, materials, and contextual criteria, which are 1, 3, and 4. Or 6, I mean. Because the Harrison Avenue monument sign does not meet all 4 of the creative general design criteria, the creative sign permit must be denied. Alternatively, the Design Review Committee could approve the creative sign permit with a condition that requires modifications to 1 or both of the proposed monument signs that enable the sign or signs to qualify for general design criteria 2 and 3. As having a unique design, exhibiting a high degree of thoughtfulness, imagination, inventiveness, and spirit, and having a higher creative, artistic, or sculptural nature than the average sign typically found in Eureka. If the Design Review Committee decides to conditionally approve the creative sign permit, city staff recommends also imposing conditions that 1, ensure the applicant is aware of the requirement to obtain a building permit prior to sign installation. 2, ensure the applicant adheres to the ban on off-premise advertising. For example, the reader board cannot advertise a land use, business, product, or service not located or available on site where the sign is located. And 3, clearly state that any future deviations to sign standards beyond what is currently proposed require an amendment to the creative sign permit or approval of a new creative sign. For the reasons presented and included in the staff report, the recommendation is to hold a public hearing Adopt a resolution denying the creative sign permit to allow a deviation from sign standards for the second monument sign. Staff has prepared a suggested motion, but we will stop screen sharing to allow for discussion, and staff as well as the applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. So, are there any questions for staff? No? Carolyn? Okay, so I'd like to bring it back and see if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this subject. Seeing that there...
Gailey, you need to open the public hearing.
Yes.
Oh, I thought I was doing that. Okay, so tell me the language, please. So I'd like to open the public hearing if anyone would like to speak on the Pierson sign permitting. As I see that there's no one that would like to speak, I'd like to take it back to the committee and see if there are recommendations on this sign. Yes, sir.
On that first sign, one of the ways that we could punch the ticket for a creative sign permit would be to do some gold leaf on that Pierson lettering rather than the brushed aluminum or the brushed stainless. I don't think it's brushed stainless, actually. I think it is brushed aluminum. The brushed look could be maintained around the edges, while the centers of those letters could be filled with any number of leaf products. All of them are beautiful. So that would be my suggestion to get that one qualified.
And just a reminder, only one of the signs has to qualify with all 4 of the general criteria and 3 of the 12 contextual criteria.
Yeah, and I'll clarify even further. So, there's the reader board sign and then just the Pierson sign, the nice one, right? Mm-hmm. The nice one meets all the criteria except for 2 of the general criteria. So that's the one we should focus on to meet those 2 extra criteria, because one monument sign is already allowed. So we could allow the reader board sign just by itself, right? Either or. Right. But the reader board is pretty far off from qualifying as a creative. So the 2 criteria.
Can you pull this slide up so
we
can look at it?
Yeah, I was going to say, the 2 criteria. Let's do that.
It would be slide 6, I think.
Share. Nope. Slide 6. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So it would be these 2 and 3. So I think you were saying that the gold leaf would help increase the unique design and high degree of thoughtfulness. And then now there's the third one, the creative artistic or sculptural.
So Chuck, do you want to address that?
Sure. The leaf also would, in my opinion, allow the sign to qualify if they were using that product on there. It's a very unusual look.
And so if I may, can we actually go back to look at the sign so I can understand exactly where you were saying the gold leaf?
So there you go.
Yeah, the hairline brush gold lettering. So
Click one more time so you can pop that up. There you go.
oh, there we go. So I thought that it was already gold leaf, but you were saying it was. Yeah, I'm confused now on the gold leaf because I see gold leaf already here.
It's gold. It's
Well,
hairline brush gold.
It's not gold. It's anodized aluminum that has been brushed to have a yellow cast to it, very much like you see in the lettering that says Pierson Company. What I'm suggesting is that we fill the centers of those letters with a leaf product that would be much more interesting.
It is actual gold leaf, right, Chuck?
Well, some of it is gold leaf, some of it is variegated brass and variegated copper, which is stunning. And if it's clear coated, it has typically will have a 12 to 15 year life.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a difference. I thought that the gold lettering, hairline brush gold lettering would.
That's why we have the sign expert.
Yeah.
So does that then qualify?
I mean, ultimately, it's up to you. I didn't, it's going to be gold, right? It's going to look gold. So I'm not sure if just changing that little material, but I mean, you are the review authority. Director Kenyon is online. She couldn't be here in person.
Okay, great.
Do you have anything you want to add to this discussion?
Hey, sorry I'm not there. I have poison oak on my face. So no, there's nothing to add. I mean, it's a very subjective criteria, creative and unique. So there's going to be different opinions on it.
So yellow lettering is different from gold leaf. They're two different types of treatments.
Okay,
So it's not subjective.
great. So you want to make that change to enable to be able to prove this?
I would suggest that because part of our goal, besides moving a project forward for design, and this is design, but it'll allow your client to move forward with the project.
Okay, well then you'll need to make a motion to change that material so that way that material actually gets used, and then we can so put that in the motion, and then as part of that, say changing this material will allow for the other two general criteria to be met, and therefore the additional conditions that staff has recommended can proceed.
Are met by the motion.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I could pull up the other slide to help with that language. So let's see. I kind of want to mix it. Let me just, we should have done an extra slide. I'm just going to do this on the fly right now so you can see. Oops. Can you read when I make that bigger? Is that too small? Maybe here. I can go like this. So I think what you're going to be saying is you move the design review committee adopt a resolution not denying to allow the second monument sign on the condition that you change the gold lettering to gold leaf, whatever you said before.
I'm sorry.
Gold or
Fill center with
variegated leaf.
brass
That would
or
be the
copper.
way I would write that, because the client may choose any number of options, one of which is gold, from 24 karat down to 18 karat in that industry, and then the brass leaf, which comes in a number of different colors: copper, silver. Well, silver is aluminum, but I would not recommend that. Would be brass, variegated, green, red. And they actually even have a black variegated gold, which is pretty stunning. It's relatively rare in the sign industry, but it has a good look when used properly. On this, probably not.
Okay, so the challenge with that is that when we will get the building permit in, often we have to ask for all the specific materials, and if there's a range, staff's going to have a really hard time figuring out what is correct because we're not the experts. You're the expert. So if you could maybe slowly give us those options again so we can get those typed up.
Or could I read it back to you?
Well, let me synopsize
Okay.
it, and I'll tighten it up here. Gold leaf or any derivation of it.
Variation, you said?
Derivation.
Derivation. That's a new word for me. Derivation of it. Okay, that works great. Except now we know if the language on it right now, whatever it says, brushed gold leaf, like we'll just know that that's not correct. Because oftentimes we don't get super specific materials on these building permits or even the design plans.
On this particular project, it will make a world of difference in the way it looks.
Great. Okay, so
Thank you.
change gold brush lettering to gold leaf or derivation.
A derivation of it.
Are you saying adding it, Chuck, to the existing yellow, or changing it totally?
Adding it to, because I can envision what this would look like with a thin, probably about I don't know, 3/16 to 1/4 inch border of that existing brushed aluminum, and then adding the variegated or the gold leaf to that would be a really sweet look.
So adding to existing.
Okay, so not changing.
The base is a yellow. You're adding the gold leaf on top of it to pop it.
Infilling the middle.
That is correct.
Thank you.
This is for the Pierson wording. Okay. Okay. Yeah, here I kind of drafted it up.
Can you put it up on the screen? First?
Yeah. Let me just move this. Almost done. And building permit. Okay, it's on the fly, but I think I caught it. Okay. Clay from. Wait, I need to share. Okay.
No sharing.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna have them. All right, read it. Can you at least? Oh, there it is. Okay. So look at this bottom part. Ignore the. Oh. There.
Cannot quite see it all.
Oh, that's weird. Derek, there's something going on with our screen. It's looking fine on my screen, but not on the overhead screen. Maybe on your tablet? Is it showing? No. Oh, there we go.
Does it need to say gold leaf lettering?
Yeah, if you want to add that.
Yes, it does need to say gold leaf lettering.
Okay.
On the second, but
I'll just make sure to add it.
okay.
It's kind of, you can modify this a little bit. I know it's not grammatically correct
After
right now.
the
'cause I
word
did it in
derivation, if you want to get nitty gritty legalese, you could use the word thereof
After where?
Derivation.
after the word
Okay.
derivation.
Okay.
Good job.
So if someone could read that, and then get a second.
Do you want to make the motion?
So is this what we're gonna? This is it, right?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, you can make slight modifications to it. We can hear it, and then we can watch the meeting later.
I think it
if
looks
you
pretty
don't-
squared away right now.
Okay.
I move to the design review committee adopt a resolution. I'm going to say
To-
insert the word to
Yes, thank
approve
you.
the Pierson Company creative sign permit, allowing a second sign monument at 3116 Harrison Avenue, and condition to add gold lettering to variegated or gold leaf. Add gold lettering. You don't need the word to. Add gold lettering or gold leaf over the yellow for Pierson wording or derivation thereof. With extra conditions to obtain building permit, no off-premise advertising and future deviations require an amendment.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. We'd like to take that to a vote, please.
If you guys don't, I don't type as fast as you all talk. Okay, so,
Perez.
Caroline. Sorry.
No, okay. Aye.
Carolyn, did you make the motion? Or
No.
You seconded. Jack made the motion.
Yeah.
No, I got this, really.
Okay, should I say aye again?
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. And Committee Member Ellsworth
Yes.
and Committee Member Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. So where are we? My computer's not working. All right, so,
Yeah.
is there a,
Bring Ryan back in. I've got an agenda.
okay, great. Thank you so much. Great. Thank you, Ryan. And I know Carolyn has to go in a minute here. She has another appointment. Okay, now we're to E, old business. No, so no old business, new business, item F.
No new business either.
Okay. G, pre-application review.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, we're flying now.
Yeah.
Okay, H, directors, reports, and communications.
Yeah, Director Kenyon was going to provide a report at this meeting, but she can't be here, so she requests that it gets postponed to our next meeting in 2 weeks at June 10th, if you guys don't mind. I know Chairwoman Banducci would probably like to be here for that discussion as well, so if you guys...
Will you tell which report that is?
Oh, yeah, that's the report out on design review discussion during the June 18th City Council meeting. So they asked for a report.
And is that going to Planning Commission tonight?
No, that is, the City Council requested Director Kenyon do a report on the Design Review Committee and what the purview was and functions, and that happened at the June 18th meeting. So we are just reporting back what was done and said at that meeting by council.
Thank you.
Yeah, but since Director Kenyon can't be here, we'd like to postpone it for 2 weeks
I
to
think
July
that's
10th.
great. She needs to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, and so does Cassidy.
Yes, yeah. And we do have agenda. We will have the July 10th meeting. We do have items
Thank
on
you
the
for
meeting,
that.
on the agenda.
So any more reports and communications?
Nope.
Great. So any oral communications?
So this would be, did you guys want to speak to the committee on anything? The Design Review Committee?
I had a couple questions about the RV park.
Oh, that is tonight at 5:30 at the Planning Commission, but I could talk to you about it after the meeting. So we're not here, that's not at the Design Review Committee, it's at the Planning Commission. So tonight at the Planning Commission, we're having a special meeting. So the appeal of the Boone Street apartments is going, as well as the Schneider RV Park by the waterfront and the Samoa Bridge. So tune in for that if you'd like to.
Chuck?
I recall hearing at our last meeting that there would be some discussion of that today here.
So on our agenda and the director's reports and communications, so after that Boone Street, the city council asked staff to come and present information on the design review committee and what the purview is and what kind of permits and like options for housing projects to be in compliance with the Housing Accountability Act. And so that discussion at council wasn't specifically for the Boone Street project. I think maybe that triggered some council members wanting to discuss the purpose and purviews of design review committee, but it wasn't specific to that project. Tonight at the planning commission is the appeal for that project, but There was no specific discussion here about the Booner today. It was just supposed to be what Director Kenyon had provided to City Council. And if she wanted to elaborate on that right now, we can, but it is on the agenda and you will talk about it the next meeting.
Well, that is not the project that I'm referring to. The one I'm referring to is the Schneider RV Park, which I heard 2 weeks ago that we would be discussing in some fashion today.
I do not recall that discussion at all. It needs lots of permits. So it needs a conditional use permit, a coastal development permit, it's coastal design review, a lot line adjustment, and a street vacation. When you have all permits that the highest review authority would do it, and Travis Schneider did not ask to do a pre-application review here, for the design. I might have given you a heads up that it was coming, like that it was going to be at the Planning Commission, but I do not remember saying that we were going to talk about the Schneider RV Park.
I have a question about the process. Does that mean that the RV park has already passed through the design review committee?
No,
That'll be addressed tonight?
design review will be completed by the Planning Commission.
I see.
And nothing this morning, because we were led to believe this morning and tonight.
No, I believe, sir, did I speak with you last week? You got a public hearing notice and it said it was for June 26th at 5:30, a special meeting for Planning Commission, not at 9.
And on the computer, it says 9 a.m. and 5:30.
Not for the Schneider RV Park.
Okay.
Yeah. We can talk about it after the meeting, but it's tonight at the
If I
Planning
can make
Commission.
a statement on that?
Yeah, it's not on the agenda here, so we are at public comments, so you could come up and talk about matters not on the agenda.
Okay.
Yep,
Then,
yeah,
real quick.
sure. And please state your name.
Just pull it straight down.
Hi, will you state,
The button that says push.
Oh, thank you.
will you state your name and your
Yes,
address?
my
for the
name is
record,
Denise Lynn Riles, and I live on 203 S Street in the vicinity of the Bridge District. And we are here today to keep an eye on that particular project. And I appreciate the Design Review Committee because you are on the front lines of how our city looks. And I appreciate your attention to these details. When you get the plans, we would like you to consider the residents in that area and how things are positioned. We have been talking about this since 2016, and we have been before the Planning Commission before. And from what we can see, none of our recommendations have been considered. So when you get the plans, we're going to be there again at 5:30 tonight. We would love for you to take a good look at them and to make sure it is beneficial to our waterfront. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So is there anyone else that would like to speak? Will you state your name and your address for the record, please?
I have hearing aids, and sometimes I don't quite get the thing, but I'm doing fine. Okay. As I met with you, I think it was Friday. Yes, we discussed some of the things about the waterfront park. I have property on 11 T Street, across the street, right next to the turn into basically the RV park in front of T Street. We have several concerns. We discussed it with the engineer about the water problems, okay? I don't know if I can make tonight, but the thing is I've had neighbors coming from Target area and coming up to talk to me about it, the water problems. And they asked me if they're going to address all the water problems down there, which come from T Street, okay? There's an open ditch that the city uses to transport from, I think, 4th Street and T and accompanying streets. And It all dumps into the ditch, all goes down the ditch a ways and dumps into, which I believe is partly Arkley's property and maybe the city's, I don't know. So they've asked me, I guess, to ask you, is this going to end the problems all the way down to Blue Ox? There's business and houses that are getting flooded out because T Street, all these things dump down T Street, or they go under the road and over the top of the road from T Streets. And whether it's going to be addressed all the way from Tree Street up to 4th Street or just at the stop sign there at T and First. So I'm just, because I can't speak later if I'm not here, I would like to just put this in motion that there are people that are worried that, you know, if you fix T Street, are you going to fix the open drains that are draining down there? Because once the high tides come in, back up the swamp down there back, all this water can't get out. And it's backing into some of the garages and stuff farther down. And yet they haven't been noticed anything about it because, like I told them, this really isn't about them down there, but since the water does come in and create problems and come up and ask them about it all the time, the city has a drain on my property at 2 places that pours all this water in and down. So, okay. So that's just generally the overview. We talked to the city council a little bit, but I may not be here, so I wanted to make that note that some of the neighbors are complaining they haven't been notified or this and that. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Button still on? Okay. So I live near Denise. My name is Sari Baker. I live at 1739 3rd Street. And I just had a question about the RV park, and I'll be here at 5:30 as well. But I just would like some clarity as far as the easement for the trailhead at the foot of T Street goes and what's that going to look like. I understand that there's a 10-foot wide easement that's going to allow access to the waterfront trail from T Street, but I'm wondering if there's going to be any trailhead parking or anything like that. The other question I have about the RV park is if it's going to be fenced, if there's going to be any sort of enclosure, or if it's just going to be open. And then I was also interested to know your plan for emergency vehicles accessing the trail, if there is going to be a fence and a 10-foot wide easement, if there's going to be fence on either side of that. So those are my questions, but I'll see you tonight at 5:30. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Well, I guess I can respond that there's the staff report up on the website, and it does answer many of your questions. Have you seen the staff report online yet? I did, yes. Okay, because I believe no fencing is proposed around it. The trail, the existing vertical access trail, will be improved. It's going to be widened to 10 feet. It'll be connected to Waterfront Drive via T improvements to Front and T. Emergency access won't be affected by the project because the waterfront trail, to the north along the bayfront is not changing from this project. Stormwater, new state regulations require all stormwater that falls on your site be retained and dealt with there. So the street improvements on Front and T will also get those improvements to address stormwater. We can't really do it back. I can do it back and forth with you after. The flooding issues that I think that you're saying that are coming from 4th and 5th Street, that is upslope from the site. And so that wouldn't be in the applicant's purview to fix stormwater issues that are off-site coming onto his site, essentially. But yeah, tonight, I think what maybe was confusing was the staff report said design review was being completed, but it was a design review permit. And when you have multiple permits, the highest review authority reviews that permit. So it would be the planning commission. So, but your concerns are on the record, here as well. And then you can bring them to the planning commission as well. And I do have your letter, and it will be attached to the record.
It's about the issues she brought up.
We can talk about it offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes, Chuck.
Yeah, well, thanks for volunteering to do that. I would also suggest that Sari and Denise and Dale take a minute after the meeting and speak with staff about this, because a lot of the engineering and water management issues are way beyond the purview of this group.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, everyone, for today's meeting, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're adjourned.
Great, thank you.